Hello friends, this is Worm, and I'm back from vacation, and it's Monday, so that means it's time for another episode of Exotic Recrafting, the series where we take a look at weak, underused, niche, or straight up bad exotics and talk about how we can fix them inside Destiny 2. And you'll notice I added a new word to that intro, and that word was niche, because today we're going to be talking about Fourth Horseman, which I don't think is bad. I don't think it's weak. I don't really even think it's underused. I think it's just too niche for something that you could use in everyday content. So let's talk about it, figure out how we can make it better. So of course, Fourth Horseman has a unique perk called Thunder. Basically, it makes weapon fire at full auto, very, very fast full auto, 360 rounds per minute. Its other perk, Broadsider, I believe is the name of the other perk. It allows the weapon to deal more damage with each shot. So the first shot, does X damage. The second shot is a little bit more, all the way up to the fourth shot, doing the most amount of damage in that volley. If you stop shooting at any point, that that buff goes away. So that's important to note, because we're going to talk about that probably in a little bit. But it also has a catalyst, and the catalyst basically just gives it one more round of the magazine. So it takes the magazine size from 4 to 5, and it increases the reload speed by a lot, so you can reload it a little bit faster. First of all, I want to talk about what the Fourth Horseman does. I said it was niche, and I feel like we need to talk about its niche inside Destiny 2, because I was using it and it wasn't bad. It was very good at what it does, which is deleting high health targets, not bosses, but champions, mini bosses, even majors. It absolutely smacks all of those. But I think the primary problem with the weapon is, outside of those very specific things, it doesn't do much else. It's not good for ad clear. It's not even good for killing, individual ads. Literally, it is a blow your load type of weapon. You blast all 5 rounds into a high health target, and that's how you delete that target. And it's very good at that. Again, it's very good at that, but at the same time, what else is there to do with it? In everyday content, we don't come across champions. In everyday content, we don't come across, incredibly high health targets. And in everyday content, those high health targets are typically pretty easy to deal with. And so that's in everyday content. But then you start looking at high level content, things like, Master Nightfalls, Master Lost Sectors, Grandmaster Nightfalls, stuff like that. Really, really high end content. And the damage is not as comparable as it is to everyday content. In everyday content, in our standard Nightfall, which I'll have in the background here, you can see I'm just absolutely obliterating champions with one magazine. It's very easy to do that, but that's also at the base level. That's at the lowest level of Nightfall. As you move up in those Nightfalls, you're left with a situation where that Fourth Horseman blast with all 5 rounds. This is including catalyst. I have the catalyst, so I'm going to talk about it with the catalyst included in here. But when you're only getting a champion down to half health with Fourth Horseman, that's where problems start to arise, because the other thing is that Fourth Horseman is a shotgun. Of course, and in most content, most of that high level content, things like, Grandmasters, you're not closing the distance. And so you need something that can help you close the distance. And this is one of the reasons why we saw a lot of changes with the final shape to how subclasses and stuff work, so that, you get certain damage resistance. I know Arc has one where you get damage resistance, and then it lingers for a little bit after you're out of these situations. And these lingering effects are really, really important, because they allow you to move in, do whatever it is you're trying to do, and then get the heck out of there before you get obliterated. And even then, maybe they're not the best. I think generally speaking, in Grandmaster content, you're playing at a little bit more of a range. But I think that we could potentially change Fourth Horseman so that it rewards those up close and personal engagements. So first change for Fourth Horseman. Obviously, I think with it being a high risk, high reward weapon, the damage needs to be cranked up. And I know Bungie is careful to do this, because Fourth Horseman already puts out a ton of damage. I mean, Fourth Horseman in terms of its burst DPS, is one of the highest in the games. And that's one of the reasons why it has that low 5-round magazine. Imagine if we had it with, back in the day when Rally Barricade could just instantly reload your weapon. Imagine Fourth Horseman with that. You run up under a boss's feet, you put that Rally Barricade down, and you would absolutely obliterate that boss. Well, of course, we've moved on from then. There's no way to auto reload it, instantly. So its burst DPS is incredibly good, but again, it needs to be worth the reward, because in a Grandmaster situation, or even a Master situation, if there's, say, an unstoppable champion, a barrier champion, overload champion, whatever it is, first thing I have to do is stun it, or my teammate has to stun it. Then I have to run to where that enemy is at, unload my Fourth Horseman, 5 rounds Fourth Horseman. It doesn't take long. It takes like 0.5 seconds, something like that. Unload all my ammo, and then I have to run back to cover. And at that point, it doesn't even, like the champion's probably not even going to be dead. So that's what I'm saying. We need to up the damage. Like in a Grandmaster situation, 1 full magazine from Fourth Horseman, maybe with some surge mods, should be able to obliterate a champion completely. And right now, I don't think it does. I haven't tested this. I haven't gone into any Grandmasters yet, but I'm pretty sure that it does not nuke champions inside of Grandmaster. And we've seen, Bungie's change, like, for example, to Peregrine Greaves. Peregrine Greaves absolutely obliterates champions in Grandmaster in 1 shot. Like, that's crazy. And it also refunds your melee back. And that's kind of where I'm going to go next with Fourth Horseman, is maybe some way to refund ammo. Perhaps, here's a good idea in my head. Perhaps if your entire burst from Fourth Horseman, if you kill a champion within 1 magazine, or a mini boss within 1 magazine of Fourth Horseman, all that ammo is instantly refunded. So in a Grandmaster situation, you run down there, you nuke a champion, it gives you all 5 of those ammo back, right? That solves half the problems right there, because going down there and getting a champion to half health with 1 magazine, and then you have to reload it, that's kind of problematic. So I think that, giving it just that more damage to beef up its blast, obliterate champions, and refund the ammo, that would be one trade-off. But the other thing is, of course, you still have to get up close and personal. And my thought with Fourth Horseman here is, what if Bungie added a Juggernaut shield? So of course, Juggernaut is an aspect on Arc Titan. Juggernaut basically allows you, after you're sprinting for a short amount of time, you get an overshield that spawns kind of, in front of you, and it basically soaks up all damage. When it's broken, your class ability goes away. But Fourth Horseman is arc damage. Juggernaut shield is an arc aspect. These two, they just kind of, popped in my head, like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. But you take it, you run, you have that overshield. So if that champion is shooting at you, and instead of just going away really, really fast, like, give it some health, you know what I'm saying? Because I think currently nobody uses Juggernaut inside PvE because it doesn't have a whole lot of health. In PvP, it's a lot more viable because, you can run down a sniper lane, somebody shoots you with a sniper and it breaks that shield instead of damaging you. Get off to the side, whatever, do that. But inside PvE, give it a sizable buff to the Juggernaut's overshield. This would also allow other classes like Hunter and Warlock to have the opportunity to use that Juggernaut ability. So you start sprinting in, you're running down, let's say a barrier champion. That barrier champion's using it's a Cabal barrier champion. It's using that minigun on you, and it's just, you're soaking up that damage. As soon as you get close enough, that shield breaks, but then you can unload your Fourth Horseman, dump your ammo into it, and boom, there you go. Then you turn around, run back to safety, and it gives you kind of that, that same overshield. And you could take it a step further and say, after you dump the magazine, you get a brief period of damage resistance, perhaps. You get 5 seconds of increased damage resistance. And when I say increased damage resistance, I mean a lot increased damage resistance. Of course, if you're running out in the open to use a shotgun on a champion, you're not just gonna walk like 15-20 feet. Like, you're gonna have to go a long way to get close enough to that champion to utilize Fourth Horseman. So you're gonna need a decent amount of time to get back. But it also should be something that players shouldn't be able to take advantage of. I mean, if you gave players, a 20-second window of, say, like 60% damage resistance on top of tier 10 resilience, on top of, woven mail, frost armor, anything like that, like that would be kind of ridiculous, because then somebody could just run around and kill everything with no real repercussions. But if you get a 5-second window, you go down there, you blast that champion, you get that kill on that champion, you can turn around and run back to cover. So you have 5 seconds of increased damage resistance. Then by the time you get to cover, you're already, pretty injured. You got to take a minute to breathe, get your health back, stuff like that. So that would be a really awesome idea for the Fourth Horseman. And I think that would also, like I said, that would address the primary issues with the weapon, which is that it's a shotgun. You know, we talked about this with a couple of these episodes of exotic recrafting here. There's a lot of, you know, situations where it's just not optimal to use a shotgun, and that's one of the biggest issues with legend or exotic shotguns inside Destiny 2 for PvE in-game PvE activities, is that you have to be close range to really get the most out of them. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on what we could potentially do for the Fourth Horseman. One more time, just increase the damage on it, number one. Number two, give it that Juggernaut shield. Like, if you have it in your hand and you're sprinting, after sprinting for half a second or whatever it is, you get that Juggernaut shield over you. Then when you get a kill, when you kill that champion, and it should be able to kill it, maybe, again, maybe not with outright just Fourth Horseman. Maybe you have to pair it with, you know, Radiance, maybe some Surge mods, something like that. But the ability to obliterate a champion, then after that champion is obliterated, you have a damage window where you can run back to safety. That way you don't have to, you know, risk dying. Just you kill a champion, then all of a sudden you're dead. Like, that doesn't do anything for your team. I could also, you know, and we also talked about the ammo regeneration. I think that'd be a nice added bonus. Personally, when I was using Fourth Horseman, I didn't find ammo to be that much of an issue because, again, you're using it against champions and mini bosses and stuff like that. Those are kind of few and far between. So typically, you know, I dump a whole magazine into a champion, you know, okay, now I only have 15 rounds left, but in the time I'm getting to the next champion, I'm able to find a special ammo brick, replenish that ammo, blah, blah, blah. So the whole ammo regeneration, that's kind of, you know, maybe an added bonus, but not necessarily a thing that needs to happen to the weapon. But with that being said, I've talked enough about Fourth Horseman. I want to hear your thoughts on the weapon. Do you think that it is bad? Do you think it's not too bad? Do you think that do you agree with me on the, you know, it's niche? Tell me all your thoughts and stuff in the comments. Of course, if you like today's video, do me a favor, drop a like, helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content. If you guys do me a favor, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you will like them. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.